If there's one thing baseball players are good at besides their talent, it is the act of using foreign substances to cheat during games. And despite the MLB's attempt to clamp down on cheating, which by the way became rampant in 2021 following the Astros scandal, the obscene practice is still on the rise, and frankly the MLB seems to be cool with it now. Or are they? If they are, isn't that rather ironic? Given the energy MLB exhibited that year in tackling the same issue, which resulted in many baseballers getting naked on the field, pitchers getting suspended, lots of fights breaking out after games, and outright termination of pitchers' careers. In today's video, let's look at why it seems MLB is going numb despite the increasing use of foreign substances by players, the most ever recorded in baseball history. The MLB's assault on foreign substances in 2021 was a resounding success. Overnight, the league's offense increased, and the league-wide spin rate decreased. However, in 2022, the league spin rate began to rise again. Umpires have essentially ceased examining players, and numerous dubious videos of pitchers applying foreign substances have surfaced. Such an unjust advantage is granted to pitchers by illicit substances like spider tack. Some have compared its effectiveness to that of steroids. It directly contributed to the lowest league-wide batting average in history and transformed average pitchers into heroes. According to MLB rules, each pitcher should be checked by an umpire at least once per game. However, videos such as the one showing Garrett Cole using foreign substances depict relievers entering the game, hurling an inning, and then departing without being checked. MLB appears to be easing up on this stringent enforcement, a trend that traces back to the 2021 American League Championship Series, when online fans began making multiple deception accusations against the Houston Astros. They accused them of signaling to the batters by whistling, which was heard just prior to a number of Astros home runs. When the game was halted due to a light seen through the outfield fence, more spectators accused the players of using the light to signal batter signs, and some even claimed a player was wearing an unlawful Fitbit during the game. Framber Valdez was seen repeatedly stroking his forehead, likely combining it with a foreign substance, and then smearing it on the ball throughout the game, according to a Red Sox radio broadcast that substantiated a cheating claim. The next day, another foreign substance was observed on Corey Knebel's cap. This occurred in October, but if we retrace Knebel's first appearance after umpire checks were implemented, he did not have anything on his cap, as he would have been suspended for doing so, just as Hector Santiago was on June the 27th. In a single inning, Hector reached into his belt 20 times, which is a common location for pitchers to conceal an alien substance. A few innings later, he was caught, and he fled away sarcastically as if he had something to conceal. And of course, he did. The umpires discovered an adhesive substance on his hand and suspended him for 10 games. Santiago claims that this was merely a legal mixture of sweat and rosin, but in his next appearance, when he did not reach into his belt, his fastball spin rate dropped by 150 RPMs. A few weeks later, when Caleb Smith participated in a game, he was observed constantly caressing his belt. He also developed a brown stain on his trousers, which grew larger as he pitched. The umpires inspected him and discovered nothing amiss. The following game, the brown stain on his trousers grew a bit larger, and between innings, the umpires discovered a vicious substance in his glove, which caused him to completely lose it. He later explained that it was just soil, which he massages on his hand prior to each start. He was, however, suspended for 10 games. Without a discernible increase in spin rate, MLB's enforcement terrified pitchers to the point that Sonny Gray massaged his trousers on the mound to remove pine tar he unintentionally got on them during an at-bat. MLB began enforcing these regulations with 3 primary goals in mind: fewer walks, fewer strikeouts, and more hits to increase the number of objects in play and overall action. MLB's crackdown immediately accomplished all 3 objectives, but despite this enormous success, pitchers have begun using foreign substances again, resulting in the highest league-wide spin rate in the history of the major leagues during the month of July 2021. MLB is aware of this, but has not taken action to halt it, because they have a compelling reason not to, or at least so we think. Major League Baseball was ecstatic about the positive influence foreign substance tests had on offense, but pitchers were furious. Lynn, a player, was so irritated by an umpire check that he once placed his mitt and cap on the top of the dugout and attempted to enter the clubhouse. The umpire then prompted him to inspect his belt. Lynn was promptly dismissed after throwing his belt at the umpire from the dugout. The first time Max Scherzer was examined, he was visibly furious despite his boyishness. When he was checked a second time, he became even more enraged. Later in the game, when opposing manager Joe Girardi asked the umpires to check him again, he flung off his cap and glove and began unstrapping his belt and trousers in the middle of the field. He then began mocking the Phillies manager for accusing him an inning later, stared down the Phillies the entire way as he walked off the pitch, which prompted Girardi to come out of the dugout and begin yelling at the Nationals dugout, who screamed back as Scherzer stood there holding up his hat and glove to prove he was not using any foreign substance. On the same day, after being examined for the first time, Sergio Romo had a similar outburst, literally undoing his belt and dropping his trousers in the middle of the field. From the day these regulations were announced until the 31st of July 2021, the MLB saw the largest decline in league-wide spin rates in the sport's history. In September, however, spin rate began to rise again, prompting Major League Baseball to announce a new form of inspection in which pitchers' palms would be arbitrarily inspected. This was intended to make it more difficult for pitchers to get away with using any aiding substance, but in actuality, umpires now only momentarily contact a pitcher's palm and don't appear to care most of the time, unless you're Madison Bumgarner. The guy had been disputing with umpires throughout the entire inning, so when the umpire checked him, he retaliated by holding his hand and glaring him down for an excruciatingly uncomfortable period of time. Bumgarner lost his mind, screamed at him, and was subsequently removed from the pitch. However, the umpire apologized following the contest. Despite evident substance use across the league, umpires have not captured a single play for doping all season, and many players believe this is a positive development. Pitchers throughout the league are complaining that without an adhesive substance, it is virtually impossible to maintain a grasp on the ball, arguing that the elimination of foreign substances will increase hit-by-pitch rates, which are already at record levels. A player who received a strike to the face, Pete Alonso, would have a sentimental view about this, but it doesn't end there, as during the first game of 2022 the following day, Alonso's teammate was also struck in the face, causing the benches to empty. In their first 3 games, the Mets were eventually struck 5 times. Later that month, the Cardinals also struck them 5 times in 3 games, giving the Mets a league-high 19 hit-by-pitches in their first 20 games. The Mets finally retaliated by sending a pitch near Nolan Arenado's head, to which he responded by screaming at the pitcher, pushing the catcher away, storming the mound, and compelling the benches to clear. Chris Bassett, a pitcher for the Mets, blamed the baseballs for the hit-by-pitches after the game, stating that they were difficult to grasp, and Buck Showalter, the team's manager, concurred, stating that Major League Baseball may have gone too far in its crackdown on foreign substances. Until recently, this was the general consensus around baseball. Batters didn't really care if pitchers used a foreign substance because it gave pitchers a better grasp, and the odds of them getting hit were lower. There has always been a regulation against using foreign substances, but umpires have never enforced it unless it was patently apparent, such as when Joe Negro was discovered using sandpaper to rough up a baseball. When the umpires checked him, he attempted to dispose of the paper discreetly, but the entire world saw it, and sandpaper is an extremely odd example of a foreign material. Throughout baseball history, pitchers using foreign substances such as pine tar, sunscreen, rosin, and stick gum have been allowed to do so, and Bryce Harper stated in 2018 that he had no problem with pitchers using adhesive substances because he didn't want to get hit in the face. In 2021, when foreign substances were at an all-time high, he was ironically struck in the face, and over the past 5 seasons, his rotation rates have increased as a result of these substances. Hit-by-pitches have also increased, reaching all-time highs in 2020, and when Major League Baseball clamped down on foreign substances in 2021, hit-by-pitches dropped for the first time in 7 years. So, contrary to what was believed in the past, foreign substances appear to enhance the likelihood of a battery being struck, and the reason for this is that modern foreign substances are very different from those of the past. Traditional foreign substances such as pine tar were employed by pitchers to improve their grasp and control. However, newer foreign substances, such as spider tack, are significantly stickier and are used to increase spin rate and movement. The more a pitch moves, the more likely it is to strike a batter. Moreover, it results in more walks, more strikeouts, and fewer hits. Nevertheless, walks are down, strikeouts are down, and hits are up for the first time in 17 years. Spin rates have increased considerably in 2022. The MLB doesn't have problems this time because this is exactly what they wanted, and it indicates that even though pitchers are cheating again, they appear to be using foreign substances that are not as adhesive as spider tack. Those cheating now are continually being forgiven ahead of time because they're using traditional substances to increase their strikeouts, grips and hits, and for now the MLB seems to be all smiles. But just for how long will they unofficially put up with this before tightening the regulations again? Hit the comments section and let us know what you think. Thanks for watching.